And welcome back. Fuck the intro. What's good? This is your bonus, motherfuckers. This is your bonus. You already know what it is. What's good?
It's your you already know what time it is.
It's your three favorite faces. What the fuck is up? Yeah, predict these intros now.
Kevin got burned when we messed up his 2 episodes ago. Yep.
I rewatched that segment like 5 times. I was like, motherfucker.
Oh, that's so funny.
Ew, he was in the lab cooking up a new intro after that. Just mad. I'll teach you to talk over me.
I was like, am I that predictive?
No.
I mean,
bet.
Wait, no, but it's actually super helpful because, like, for people who aren't used to us, it gives them like
consistent experience.
Enter.
Except this one, because this one is for our lovely followers. In celebration of the end of season 2, we wanted to do as a bonus episode.
But if you're on YouTube, it's clearly recorded immediately after our last episode. But we're doing an Ask Me Anything, which we did get some cool questions for. So we're just gonna blow through all of them in about 30 to 40 minutes.
30 to 40 minutes per question. So
bottomless style.
So the first question is, if you were able to teach something to the general population and they would actually retain your teachings, what would it be / why? This one feels pretty daunting.
Yeah, damn, you started heavy.
I know.
Bottomless.
I would teach. Now, this isn't my only answer, but I'm just gonna go ahead and give one. But like, I would teach how to think about the question before starting to think about answers. And not that I'm an expert at that, but it doesn't say you have to. It's implying that you could teach it. So it's both what I would like to teach and what I would be able to know enough to teach.
Damn it, mine's too similar. The one that I mainly went to, I'll think of something else. I was gonna say teach how to listen, which I feel like is pretty similar.
You should teach a master class on that.
You just sit and listen. No, I'm kidding. But like how, I guess, no, I feel like this makes it sound too daunting. How to listen is the best. I was going to broaden it to like how to engage, but that's a heavy lift that I can't guarantee that I could teach. But I think how to listen specifically would be something that would be interesting to attempt to teach.
How to police your own tone. It's me in the flesh. I am him and he is I. No, for real. Like, I think like Vince has seen me scream on people. Like in the first year internship, Vince has seen. So and with him, I'm still a little crazy. Like within the context of the safety of me, him, and JoJo's relationship, I'm very like wild. But I think not from Vince. I deserve credit just from the universe, because like I've learned I've learned to make kids in my youth group, which is like I learned how to relate to them as humans and treat them as contemporaries and not children, and not talk to them. And they've told me that before. I've learned how to beget favor and kindness and like acceptance from authority figures. I've learned how to like talk to people who I have no cultural, like they're into like Star Wars and I'm into like none of those. And I've learned how to like, you can't find me someone unless they actively are trying to not like me, that I can't make them like beget like their goodwill and to you put me in a room with anyone, and if I have to, whether it's because of work or whether it's because like I'm just trying to be a kind person, and I'm like, man, you just don't treat everyone as if they're having a bad day, is kind of like how I subconsciously treat people, like a level of kindness. You can't find someone that you put me in a room with, and unless I'm purposely being a brat, I'm gonna make everyone I'm around feel a sensation of good energy. If like it's like shallow relationship, or in a room and you just met someone, it's like this is gonna be a quick interaction. I might not ever see them again. Just leave a good impression, leave a kind impression, leave a favorable, like add value to their life, even if it's just a momentary, fleeting good emotion. But seriously, like like, man, sometimes we're frustrated, sometimes we're not patient, sometimes we're unkind, sometimes we're awkward and shy. And Vince probably learned this from being a waiter. I learned this from being a receptionist. Like we police our tones based on who you're talking to, your boss, your
And Leslie, shout out to IHOP's favorite waitress.
so you learn, right? You learn. So all that to say, like, I would teach people, like, yeah, if you're talking to authority, it's important. Talking to kids know when they're being condescended. It's important. And when you're talking to people you just don't know, like that, you seem like, man, this motherfucker's a nerd, or they're just not like me, or they're weird, or they're like, you strip away all this shit, and you not police your tone to be fake. You police the rudeness out of your tone. You police the impatience out of your tone. You police all the unbecoming things that just make us human: impatience, unkindness, rudeness out of your tone. And it accomplishes a lot more when you police it. Like, it's unpopular. Fuck Twitter and fuck Instagram. Tone police. But like, Vince policed my tone with JoJo, and it worked. Like, he was right and it worked, and I was wrong.
I love that journey for you. Also, I love the sitting that journey, I can think across from my journey where I've exercised some of my, it's not the same thing, but I've exercised some of the less substantive kindness that I feel like I valued a lot more, which I've talked about, I feel like a lot about, like Southern fake kindness. So it's just funny because I feel like it's not actually the opposite of that journey, but it feels like a bit of a opposite motion. On that note,
yeah.
Do y'all have back burner or peripheral or percolating dreams that are for not right now? If so, what? And then I guess I'll go first since I read the question. Maybe that would be some form for us. One that most people that know me know is that I always, not always, but I've, at least for the past 10 years or so, opening my own
coffee shop. I knew it.
Has been a dream or goal that's been on my mind, and that hasn't gone anywhere. So I definitely want to have my own coffee shop, employ my family, my friends, like my friends that cook well, like have them come do the baked goods, go on like a little coffee journey in South America and curate some coffee. That's a dream. One that's probably as of maybe a year or two ago that not everyone does know is that I have been digesting this like dream of, and you both know actually, of working on a documentary, like writing and producing a documentary would be really sick. Something that has to do with like the intersection of like art, most likely music, most likely something like hip hop or punk, but intersecting that with like the historical conditions in which gave rise to those cultural effects. That's what I initially was thinking for the genre of documentary, but we'll see what that turns into.
I'll just say that I'm so happy that the coffee shop dream hasn't gone anywhere, because I remember when you first talked about it, I just like wasn't sure, because it's like, yeah, like a decade ago. I wasn't sure if it was one of those like sweet little dreams you have in high school that, just inevitably fade away as time goes on. But I'm so happy that I have my future favorite coffee shop
to
look forward to. One that most people know that in life I want to create picture books, but not as many people know because it's kind of newer. But I just have been thinking lately how I do want to have a published work that isn't in the children's literature landscape. Like, I still want to do that, but yeah, like, I don't know, I just feel like I've always known like throughout life I'll write, but I've never felt strongly before the last maybe couple years of thinking about like what I want to actually publish, something long form. I've been feeling like I do want to do that. Yeah. But I guess that's not exactly a not right now, but it's more just like a long stretched out unless maybe I end up deciding to dedicate an intense period of time. Like I have thought about after this job applying to a fellowship or something where I could just be paid to like write or paid to work on a specific project. But in the absence of that, then it would just be like sort of along over the years as I hit those strides, accumulating, and then editing, and then having something that I'm like, this is worth putting out.
Study under a Paris, like go to Paris and actually like spend like a year or more studying, like actually cooking in the kitchen, studying under like a head chef.
Ooh. Me, and then you come back and make some
Yeah,
fucking croissants at my cafe. Let's go.
I do a reading there. Oh my god! Like,
Hey.
we've got our 40s mapped out.
Ooh, that would be good. Specifically, Paris. You like French cuisine?
Yeah, because like when I studied culinary in high school, and then I went to a couple FTCC classes. Paris is everything that higher education in America for culinary arts is based upon French art, like how the French do it. Like the French make the Italians make the best suits, the French make the best cuisine. Like there's certain areas of the world that America makes the best rock stars. Like so there's something about France that is the epitome of the hierarchy. They've mastered to like the down to like the glaze, like the sauces. And so like that, man, they just master the art. And so like it's like, teach me, sensei. Like, please give me your secrets.
On that note, I happen to have met an influx of French people in my life recently. Not just on that trip I recently took, but then I met some more like a few weekends ago. And I have to say the stereotype about cheese seems to be true across the 7 French people that I have now met in the last couple of months. Just like a strong love of cheese and a very discerning palate.
Is there anything better than fucking a cheese board with wine? Like, name me one thing that's better on God's green earth.
Yes, with some prosciutto if you eat. Oh, yes.
Some olives, get that like, yeah, man, get some vinegar and some baguettes and like
get some pickled beets. Some pickles. Just
fuck.
pickled anything. So good.
Okay, next question. Just kidding. I'm not a big fan of
fries, Vincent.
I'm not a big fan of pickled things, to be honest.
I love pickled things. Oh God, is this the end of our friendship?
Well, thank you for listening to the Bottomless Podcast. I'm just kidding.
All right, Kev, it's you.
What outfit or hairstyle looks or makes you feel most yourself? Tight ripped jeans, or like overdone jeans, but like tight distressed ripped jeans. Oversized plain t-shirt, no branding on t-shirt, no branding on jeans, and then Yeezy shoes.
Wait, what about the haircut?
Oh shit. Like when my hair's like long and fluffy and flowy and shit, right? Like yeah, poofy. Yeah.
Swoopy like in high school.
Yeah, Rico Suave. Wait, you said like high school?
Not in high school. Wasn't it like relaxed in high school?
Vince, what's your favorite hairstyle?
Yeah, on that note, Vincent's favorite hairstyle.
My Rico Suave.
Yeah. Most yourself.
You know, I feel pretty confident when I have my fresh mustache, freshly shaved. Got my black tee on with some black slacks and my Converse.
You do like that.
I feel most myself. The only thing that keeps me lacking is that I imagine that I'm done getting tattoos, so I have a lot more tattoos, which would bring the outfit together. And I'm not there yet, but mentally I am there.
What about your hair?
I don't really care about my hair that much, to be honest. I guess what it is now, just with a clean fade.
Okay. All
right. To be the annoying one, it is hard for me to just be like, oh, there's one, because something I've always felt like, and I'm sure both of you can attest to this from knowing me since the time that we were like teenagers in high school, is I do have a pretty broad spectrum for how I like to present. And like, I just feel like if you're gonna assign certain aesthetic things to like how I dress or how I do my hair or like, I mean, yeah, those are the main ones. Like, you have to know me for a while. Like, like you just do, because there is a big breadth. So, but
There is
do
one thing that stays consistent
what's
always.
that?
The Jesus sandals.
You mean my Birkenstocks? No, those got phased out actually, like years ago. We just haven't been
They
living in the same place.
I feel like they're so you though. Weren't you wearing them when I saw you? Well, I guess maybe not.
No, I had graduated to those Velcro strap. You know those sandals that have the
Oh,
strap by the
yeah.
toes and then the strap like across the ankle so you're secured in.
I do remember those. I think just sandals across the board.
Yeah, I do like a good sandal. But I just really like either like probably some of my most comfortable, like feeling like myself are like clothes I can move in. So like a good pair of like fitted enough but like loose enough to move around pants that are kind of like dancy looking, like you can, it's like they're cute but like you can move, and then just like a solid like t-shirt. And then like a actually, oh dear, it's like exactly what I'm wearing now. Um,
Are you just
and then a
describing
bun,
your current outfit?
or just like a good dress with tennis shoes and my hair down. Like I love that feeling so much. So yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Of your friends, who would you pick to compete with you on Family Feud? What is Family Feud? I've never even watched it. It's a game show.
Yeah.
It's
It's
a
a
trivia.
trivia based show.
Yeah.
Doesn't it have to be your family? So it's
For
saying if
this
you.
for
Oh,
this
okay.
question, let's say no. Who's really good at trivia?
Honestly, not me.
Honestly, not me either. So I should not be in either of your answers. I'll tell you
I
that.
know.
Well, the have you guys, because Family Feud is a Steve Harvey show, right?
Mhm.
Have you guys seen like some of the clips? It's not like actual trivia. It's like, what are 4 things that you put in your pocket?
Oh yeah, and then
Like,
survey
Oh.
says it's like the top 4 or
yeah,
5.
like 4 reasons why Steve Harvey is like handsome. It's like he's bald, he has a mustache, he's tall, he's black. It's like what? It's like who populated these answers?
Wait,
You
how do
still
they
probably
choose
don't want me.
who wins if the answers or the questions are subjective?
Oh, so like for example, like so you would say something like 4 things you have before you leave the house: wallet, keys, phone, shoes. And then literally like it's literally the subjectiveness of whoever populated the answers, but how many answers match from what you said to the board, then that adds up to points, and then it goes to your team. Like you have your family on one side, their family, and then whoever gets the most points, I think, actually wins the game. But
And
it's so
the answers are weighted because it's from a survey. So the most selected answer.
Oh, I see.
Except who does the surveys? I don't know. But they say it's a survey and they say survey says. So we'll take their word for it. But
I see.
I'm going with Tim Caldwell. Y'all got me fucked up. Tim
is
is
he
me.
good at trivia?
And but again, it's not trivia. What
Yeah.
city did George Washington take in 9? It's like, no, like what the fuck, like that kind of shit. Tim would kill in that kind of scenario. I'm picking Tim.
I would pick I think Tiff and Kaylin. They both seem like
Tiff would.
they have good memory recall, or like think quickly.
And Kaylin would just. I don't know Kaylin that well about the trip, but Kaylin would just seems like he'd be super fun to do.
Oh hell yeah!
He's good at those type of games.
Kaylin is cocaine in human form. Go ahead, Leslie.
Oh,
probably my friend Kotal name. They just like have such a vast repository of knowledge. Like either Jesse Kramer or Kotal, and not just because I'm so close to Jesse, but she really does. Like she thinks through things. Like she would think about like, well, what would the majority of people think, and blah, 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 if it's survey based.
Okay.
Also, I have to circle back real quick because I really meant to say this on the outfit question to extend my annoyingly long answer and say this is a good opportunity to also insert a bit of my like musing on personal growth during season 2. And I have changed in that I've just embraced more of like I'm just a lot more comfortable like in my body and in like my sexuality and in like everything else, and like it has been a marked difference in like my preference for like how I present. And I've just like really noticed it, and it's been like really beautiful and healing. So I wanted to like have a record of that in our season 2. We're like,
I love that.
I just feel more integrated with my physical body, honestly, and it has affected the way that I feel comfortable, presenting in clothes and different stuff, and it's a good feeling, and I wish that for everyone.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Um, this was an interesting one. How does your creative resistance manifest?
What the fuck does that even mean, man?
Your creative resistance. Does
Who
that mean
wrote-
something specific or just in general?
Who wrote this?
This was
Alex.
Alex, what the fuck does creative resistance mean?
I feel like that's
Maybe-
your ethos, Kevin.
Creative resistance? Okay, one of you define creative resistance.
I'm just taking it at face value, so I don't know if he meant it in a way different to this, but I imagine like the way you resist, or another word would be like some prefer like protests, but doing so through what you produce creatively, or how do you challenge
Oh.
whatever, challenge X or Y through the things that you produce, is how I took it,
Okay,
at least.
that makes sense.
Oh, that's that's not how I read it at all. That makes way more
How did you
sense.
read it? Maybe I'm reading it
I just
incorrectly.
read it as like resistances that you build into your creative practice to help feed your creativity. Because like to me, which actually does tie into, it kind of answers the question, but like to me, inherent to creativity means you need to like build resistances for your natural flow so that you can explore other flows, you know. um do I manifest creative resistance? Oof, that's the bigger question. I would say my simple answer is that in general, I probably manifest creative resistance by both not really caring about um like how popular what I create is, and then actively like that's just something I want to continue to cultivate, not because again, I mentioned this on our on one of our lives in between the seasons, but it really isn't about wanting to like be different, or like, oh, I just want to be someone who's viewed as a rule breaker. I just like wish the rules weren't there. And like for me, I don't enjoy like the ideas around a lot of the ideas around like what makes art valuable or meaningful, especially in correlation with like how many people it happens to resonate with, even though there's a beautiful side to that. So just in the fact of like uh making and sharing stuff that like is unattached to how many people it happens to resonate with, um uh resisting an idea of creating for maximal engagement, and more like I'll just make what really resonates with me, and if it really resonates with one other person, then that's really beautiful to me. Yeah.
I think for me, and actually, Alex, shout out to this question, because assuming that we're interpreting it the right way, but the way that we're interpreting this question, shout out, because I think this is timely, because I feel like what I would say is any sort of creative resistance has subsided a bit over the past couple months, and it's been bothering me. But I think for me, if I were to have someone, it would just be like producing or moving in a way that's authentic and with as minimal conscious translation from the things that I'm seeing or feeling or attempting to articulate, and there's minimal translation to how that turns into what I'm producing or saying or creating. And I feel like that authenticity is and integrity to things as I see them is in itself a bit of resistance, if that makes sense.
When you say little transition between the thing that you're seeing and then like what you output, like can you give one example?
I don't know if I can think of one. I mean, I feel like I've said off pod to Leslie, like I just hate everything I say now. Like as soon as
And I
it
have
leaves my
also
mouth,
said that off pod and on pod. I guess.
probably. So as soon as it leaves my mouth, I hate it. So in anticipation of that, there's like additional considerations of how to express things. Because in a way, this podcast is something that we're producing and it is like a creative expression. So for me, minimizing that process of translation and just sticking to the integrity of whatever is actually in here and being authentic in that is in itself, I think, creative resistance, especially because a lot of things that we all say on this podcast or we all just inherently think or the things that inform what we do and how we produce often is challenging or resistant to something, whether it's like a status quo or like a popular idea or like even less challenging the ways in which like our relationship with art, like you just mentioned, just operating in a way that's authentic to that is in itself a resistance and subversive. So yeah, I think that's how I resist. And I would like to lean into that a bit more.
I love that.
No. But how does my creative resistance manifest? I live in a constant state of upsetness of status quo, whether it's status quo of my own life, whether it's status quo with how poetry is. I always live in a constant state of unrest about the status quo in multiple spheres, and I don't actually begin to create unless I'm like at unrest about something, whether it's a positive unrest, like there's an excitement to go higher because man, I can now reach the next rung, or whether it's I want to tear something down. So the creativity is a consequence of the resistance of like wanting to strive for more or wanting to break something down that needs to be torn out of the fucking shelving. Alex, that was irresponsible. Next question.
It also kind of reminds me. Never mind. We're not going to turn this political, and I forgot we're on a different episode, so cut this out because it's going to tie to. It's going to confuse, or I'm crossing streams. It reminds me a bit though. We can cut this out of part of the.
We're not going to cut it out. Just say the damn
No,
thing.
we're cutting out. Sorry, cut it. Cut.
I'm gonna cut this motherfucker.
Cut. Like a part of the creative resistance for any artist that's responding to like the current crisis in Israel and Palestine is that authenticity. Sorry, I'm actually just looking back to what I said to speak clearly because I feel like I didn't say it clearly, but like it is creative resistance to produce something that speaks with authenticity to how upsetting it is or how unjust it is, and there's an integrity of speaking to what frankly is like very clearly in front of our eyes and not getting sucked into the translation of like popular narrative or the prevailing media narrative of like there's like both sides or like really it's more sucking Israel's dick than anything else. But to speak authentically to that and have integrity in that is in itself a form of creative resistance, and like has implications on the form of the things that you create. Sorry, I don't know why I felt the need to circle back to my answer, but here we are. We're cutting that out anyway, so it doesn't matter. All right, next question.
What is your view on upgrading relationships? I.e., who was this? I.e., determine when it's time. I.e., determine when it's time to move on versus grow together. This is her fucking albatross ass.
It actually wasn't Tiffany.
It was Tiffany. I'm sorry, Jesse.
It was not Tiffany.
Who was it?
Who was it?
It was Alex. These are Alex's questions. I didn't mix them up, so Tiffany was the first.
Alex, you redeemed yourself.
Oh, God.
Hey yo, Alex. My answer to this question is, damn. What was the exact statement? There's an exact quote from a philosopher who I love deeply, who said,
if we ain't busy, oh, never mind, wrong one.
Yeah, no, that one too. If we ain't busy fucking, then I am fucking busy. No, the other philosopher said, damn, y'all go. I gotta think of the quote. Y'all go. So what is your view on upgrading relationships, i.e., how do you determine when it's time to move on versus grow together?
I don't like a slight nitpick of the question. I don't really like the phrasing of upgrade relationships because it gives me like this like commodified relationship to relationships.
Which is probably not how he meant it, but yeah.
Yeah. I don't think so. But that's like a common, I feel like, way of phrasing. So I generally don't like the implication of it, but I definitely think that um in your journey through life, the adventure that is our existence, at the
This is
point in
practicing for when he's a dad. So already sounding like a dad speech.
It is.
Ew. Yes, for my future children. You know what's funny? One of the probably the main things I took away from my dad um was actually about this specifically, about always taking inventory of like the people around you, and like he would always ask me like, is that really your friend? Like, who really are your friends? So it's funny you say that. That might be the
Oh.
biggest thing that I've taken away from my father. Um, but broadly speaking, I think in the journey through life, the people, the relationships around you should be relationships that lubricate that journey and propel that journey and make that journey more fulfilling. And I think at the point that any relationship poisons the well or like provides resistance, I think that's a fair enough catalyst to re-examine um, the relationship. And it might not even be like as simple as like upgrading in the sense of like disposing a relationship, but re-examining
How
what
you
you're
relate.
looking, yeah, how you
Oh.
relate, what are you seeking to get out of that relationship.
Hmm.
And I feel like at any point you hit that in your journey, it's a fair conversation. And to be honest, like I think that counts with for like family as well. I mean, I think that really is
Hmm.
something that doesn't discriminate, you know. But I think that's really what it comes down to. Um, yeah.
I think for me, it doesn't necessarily have to do with lubrication, which was an interesting choice of words. Speaking of the connotations of words.
Why? Why, Leslie?
Yeah, what's wrong with lubrication?
Why is it?
Because
Why is
it
it?
just sounds slippery and slidey and like, it is not the word that I would associate with the entity that
Isn't
is
life like one great big slip and slide that you go through with
It
people?
is.
Don't you do that squint.
It is.
But no, I would say actually for me, if someone is providing resistance, which maybe this isn't what you meant, Vincent, but that's not necessarily something that makes me think about changing the way I relate to them because I actually like enjoy a good resistance. Well, and you probably meant like really unhealthy resistance opposed to like what I'm
Well, it
referencing
depends
is
on
like
what you mean by resistance, because there's like a static resistance that challenges you and makes you better, and that process is propelling you forward still in the journey of life. But there's resistance to that movement that isn't propelling you
oh,
forward.
I
I feel
see.
like that kind of resistance I'm referring to,
I
because
see.
there's example of it not being static and it's still resistance, and that like it's someone that makes you
I
feel
see.
good but is
Mm.
pulling you back.
Yeah, I guess okay, I can definitely see that one. It's still not where my mind would go for like what is the thing that makes me kind of make determinations about like moving on or moving further away versus like continuing to actively grow together. My main thing would probably be uh uh that I don't usually actively feel like I make a decision. It more just like
Mm.
happens and I feel kind of bad about it because, you know, okay, I'll just use the words. I'm using the words. Okay. Like, for example, one of my best friends at some point, to me, it just felt like such a truth. And it was like so obvious. Like, I guess you could say, like, we don't align really like anymore. Like,
Oh,
we don't really resonate. Like, this isn't authentic. Like,
yeah.
we're just
Mhm.
maintaining the relationship because we've had one but like we both know and I just kind of like in um combination with other factors which one of them was mental health like I was just going through a patch in college but I just like stopped talking to the person and it was like 3 or 4 years before I like and like I just kind of was like, I couldn't like it just, and that's not the right way to do it. But like, and there's less extreme examples, but usually for me, it's just like, I kind of it- skip it, I'm just like, if it's obviously, and then that way we can be what we are, which is like, if we talk once a year, that's great. And you can actually still be really close to someone and talk once a year. It's just a different kind of closeness, and like, you know
I think I know who you're referring to.
yeah, which I actually caught up with her during the pandemic, and like, it was really great. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Not Leslie making me sad during our fun episode.
Oh, sorry. Did
Because
that
that
make you
shit,
sad?
because like that, the way you just admitted and put into words something that is like, I think, fuck what anyone else. I'm going to assume that that a vast majority of our generation feels that way. But for me, it resonates so deeply, and it's awkward. And sometimes it can be shameful to admit that and to articulate that, but then to not articulate it feels oppressive. But that's that feeling of whoever it is on either side of the friendship knows where things are, because you can sense energy, and you can sense energy in the ecosystem. And if you're not a
And in
sociopath,
many cases, you would have the conversation, right? But there's just some cases, and it's rare, and it hasn't happened in a while, where it's just like,
but
I don't even know. I don't know if that's how I'd handle it now, because it's been a while since
But the reason it's awkward is because if you're the one knowing you have to have the conversation, you're already braced. Okay, we can't. This is a fun episode. This is an AMA. I can't get heavy.
I would
But
say it makes me sad that you feel shame. I mean, I think there are
because
like heavy examples of that, but also like I'm thinking of one example too that was relatively recent, and we also didn't have like no parting conversation. But I also think it doesn't have to be something shameful. Also, if I'm right, assuming I know what Leslie's referring to, I feel like there's this sense again of life is a journey, and I think it's the the capsule of the time with that relationship doesn't have to be any less sweet. Those memories don't have to be any less wholesome or like fulfilling.
you
But
motherfuckers talk like this because you're the bearer of the news in these relationships, or if you're the one receiving the news.
I can think of multiple examples of growing apart from
I've been
people.
cut.
Because of how we are. Like, I don't think any of us are dependent. Imagine if you're dependent, how shocking and like fucking bracing that is to like have a friend or a romantic, anyone come to you and like, you live in this reality where like, okay, we can't. It's AMA. I can't do this shit, man. Move to the next question, man.
All right, next question. I don't know what.
Who asked that question? That shit triggered me, yo. Who asked that question?
I don't know where we're walking out with this one, but next one. Who's up to ask a question?
Oh wait, I didn't answer. So how do you know when it's time to move on? From my personal, how do you know when it's time to move on or upgrade? We are, every human being in the world, general statement, is as loyal as their options. Romantically, I'm gonna answer this question the way the asker wanted it to be answered. I'm gonna be shock value. I'm gonna be inappropriate, un-PC. Every human being in the world romantically is as loyal as their options. That's when you know it's time to move on. You got a better option, you move on. However you interpret better option: money, looks, compatibility, whatever. So you're as loyal as your options. Usually, typically, in my experience, typically with men it's looks, with women it's money.
I mean, I have a lot of thoughts there, but I won't belabor this question since we're on shaky ground. I think, Leslie, it's your turn to ask a question.
What is your guiding principle? Ikigai, purpose, North Star.
Wait, Leslie, stop. Vince, what's the definition of Ikigai? Leslie, don't say nothing.
I had to look it up when he asked it, but I know it's like another version of guiding principle.
Fine. All right.
I had to make sure it wasn't like a. Never mind, I'm not gonna make that joke.
Oh God. If anybody else has, I mean, like, I could just blah out something. I probably should have prepared a little more, because this is the type of question you don't want to just like. I mean,
Alex give us the bangers.
Yeah.
Kindness.
Yeah, that's for sure, like, wrapped in mine too, like a prioritization, and then definitely of the kind of kindness that is substantive, like Vincent has mentioned, like, has come up on this season. Definitely like truth, like prioritization, and not with a limited idea of what that can be. Like, and with a mindset about it that my understanding of what truth is will evolve, you know. But there definitely is something there to at least shoot for, you know what I mean? Even if it continues to evolve and change, like my best understanding of it and understanding I won't always, and I don't always expect that of other people, that's impractical, but as much as can, you know, prioritize that. And beauty, which again, with a very, very wide open conception of what that is. And it's come up on a lot of our talks, right? How like I definitely think a lot of things that we don't typically consider like beautiful. Like when I say beauty, I'm not talking about just aesthetics or even just resonance or tonality or, you know, anything you could say for the thing, and broader metaphorically. I mean, things that are beautiful, I think, tend to be things that tend to be just about everything, actually, if you like really engage with it.
Yo. All
So
right.
we're back to
Yeah.
I'm stopping this right here. I've been upset.
I mean,
no. I've been upset.
that's authentic
I've
Leslie.
been
If there ever
upset.
is one.
I've been upset with this part of Leslie since season 1 episode, since the pre-episode.
Why?
We're going to
This is
address
authentic. This is authentic. Her.
Leslie, if someone cooked a shitty meal, there's nothing beautiful about a terrible tasting meal who burned a
Okay, there's nothing. Well,
Oh my
no, just listen if you actually want to understand this part of me, because it's very real to me. Like, the beautiful part is all the other parts than just it. The beautiful part is the novel experience of tasting what carrots taste like when they're blackened, because you normally wouldn't. And maybe there's some reason why the person burnt it, and like that's beautiful to engage with. And like it's just the experience of life. Like, you know, like burnt food can be beautiful because it makes you think about contrast. It makes you think about the chemical reaction that happens on food, and like makes you see the color differently. Like, it's just, you know, and I don't always walk around like totally engaged that way, but when you do, that is tends to be, you know, how I feel about it. So that's my guiding principle, I guess. Truth and beauty with like a good dose of kindness, of just prioritization of those things.
Mm. I'll say mine, but this is one of those things that I've said, and now I'm just starting to hate hearing myself say it. But it is also
Just
very,
say it.
Be
it's
the
very
change,
authentic.
Be the change you want to see.
Well, Leslie tried to be, and you cursed her out for it. So we'll see how this goes when I say it.
Y'all. All right, you ain't gonna trigger me. Go ahead.
I mean, I've said it before. I think guiding principles are solidarity and like the acknowledgement that no matter how different the contours are of anyone's story compared to mine, that there's this shared greater human story that is all interconnected in some way, and internalizing that and letting that be a north star or a guiding star with how I engaged with the world and things that are new. And the other one being empathy, like literally empathy, but also like empathy requires you to stop to understand, which again kind of interacts with like the idea of solidarity. So those two would be my north stars.
I changed my answer. Be as kind as you possibly can be, as often as you possibly can be, but when you can't, treat motherfuckers the way they deserve to be treated. So if you need to snap on somebody, you need to yell at somebody, you need to like fuck somebody up, you need to run somebody's shit in the street. When you've exhausted all options of kindness, you fuck that motherfucker up.
Can't say I agree, but I love that is.
You can't say you agree. I've seen you beat the dog shit out of Brendan Allspock in the parking lot of Pizza Hut in Fayetteville.
Why does this always come up?
Can't say I always agree. Can't say I always agree.
Yeah, I can't say I agree still, but I love that that's your authentic answer. The next question, before Kevin gets triggered some more. This one's a nice, easy one. Unlimited budget. Where are you vacationing at?
But
I feel like we might have
this is
had this
actually really
convo.
well worded, because they said unlimited budget that could only be spent on vacation. So they're forcing us to like not be magnanimous and be like, I don't
Did we answer this before?
know. You mean on this
Oh.
episode or in general?
Maybe our last AMA.
I don't think so.
I don't think so. LOL. This is the stumpiest one of them all.
All right, I'm just gonna do gut without overthinking it. My gut immediately took me to the islands. Maybe we'll say a nice trip in the Philippines, and I can island hop for a cute month with some friends, get some cute little houses and boat on over to another island to another cute little house.
Oh, sounds so fun.
Yeah. It's my gut response. Budget makes me feel like I'm underthinking this or like shooting, like aiming low, but that sounds great to me.
Japan.
Okay. Kawaii. Anything specific in Japan since you have unlimited budget?
Because and that's the thing. I'm trying to maximize how much money I can spend. So if there's one thing I know about the Japanese, food, clothing, experience, they like the French with cuisine and the Italian with suits. The Japanese, I promise you, have found a way to take whatever commodity they have to offer and refine it to one of the most highest levels of sophistication you'll ever see in terms of design, in terms of art, in terms of beauty, in terms of experience, in terms of aesthetic. So like I know that like you could probably find some of the most expensive shit in the world in Japan, whether it's you go to like a 3-star Michelin chef, sushi chef in Japan, or you like go to like a fashion designer of a suit in Japan, or you go on like whatever, like the temple, like the tour. So Japan, just because I know that like not only in terms of am I able to spend the most money I can, they can have a lot of expensive shit, but the Japanese, if there's one thing that they're very proud of that I know that they deserve, they can create some of the highest qualities of shit, whether it's experience, aesthetic, or commodity that we've seen in the entire world across multiple spectrums. Like it's fucking unreal. Think of Japanese b-boy dances. Like I don't think there's anywhere else in the world other than American b-boy dances where you pick another ethnicity and like their b-boy dancers are like it's fucking.
The Koreans are to come jump you for saying that.
Man, the Koreans know what's good. The Japanese are top. I'm sick of this shit. The Japanese are top of the hierarchy, man. Japanese got that shit down. I'm Korean. Just be clear. I'm fucking Korean. And I recognize real. They top of the hierarchy.
So mine would probably be not the thing is there are other like really fun like friend trips and stuff like that I would want to take, but if it's like okay I have unlimited budget, probably the thing that would closest line with again inner priorities would be like going to Korea. And because I would have an unlimited budget, just being able to like just honestly like visit all of my family, like spend enough time with them to actually like not just like say hi after, last time I saw my family in Korea was 2005. So like I would love to see all my family and then retrace a lot of all the stories I've heard from my dad. And then just like experience a lot of the other stuff like Jeju Island, like just that I didn't get to see. Like I've only been once in 2005. So with an unlimited budget, I just feel like I could like do it my way. And I would specifically want to go by myself because it'd be super fun to go like with my siblings, for example. But just like for how I process, it would just be really special to be able to have an unlimited budget and go by myself. That way I could really like have my internal world and really fully process as I was going through it. So yeah, that would be my vacation. And it would tie into one of my children's book ideas that I really want to write, but I don't want to write or I don't want to make until I go back to Korea as an adult because that feels like an important part of the process.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. My turn.
Kevin's turn.
If you could choose the setting and events of a lucid dream, what would you explore?
Shout out to my sister Elise for asking this excellent question.
This would be someone related to you.
Man, we really need to have Elise on the podcast. I need to wheedle her into it. She's such a dope person. Like, she's got a beautiful mind.
Set it up, Leslie.
I would either. Oh, sorry, it was yours. But I do have an answer if you're still thinking, Kevin.
see if I can show this picture. It says the stunning Mystic Mountain in the Carina Nebula, a 3 light-year tall pillar of gas, dust, and newborn stars captured by Hubble. See if you could, if you're listening, you can like go to YouTube and see a 3 light-year tall. I challenge anyone to go Google 3 light-years in actual years. And when you realize how long it would take to travel up that mountain, and we can see it in like the image of, yeah, I would want to go see like one of these huge fucking galaxy clouds in space that are like, it looks like a storm happening. It's the most majestic shit I've ever seen in my entire, something like that in a lucid dream would be fucking lit.
I would either go into a black hole. So it's cool that you also did space, but in the lucid dream, you know, I would be able to,
Okay.
yeah, like in the lucid dream, I'd be able to look around and see what's happening. Or I would like go down to the, just since I'm clearly on quantum physics shit, like I would go down to the quantum physics level and like bump around there and see what's happening. Yeah.
I love that. I love that. Oh my gosh.
I feel like my first thought is to actually, it's not as like adventurous, but go to some of like my old reoccurring dreams and then lucid dream and then actually like consciously explore it. So the only two I can think of, one is like this field outside my old middle school that like conveniently turns into a different type of school depending on the dream. Like sometimes it's like college or something, but I can still picture the setting pretty well. And it's also the spot in which I flew in my dream last winter for the first time. And I remember how that felt. That was pretty intense. And the other one, I mean, it'd be kind of cool. This is me, but it's the setting of a recurring like nightmare that I used to have. That's also still very explicit in my memories.
You would go back to a nightmare.
The setting doesn't really scare me anymore, so it'd be cool to go back as an adult, not scared, and like just wander. It's supposed to be the basement to my childhood house in Fayetteville, but it's not. I mean, it definitely isn't exactly the basement of it, but that's what it's supposed to be. And I remember what it looks like. It'd be cool to kind of explore, see what's hidden up in there.
Dope, actually, and that's like perfectly on brand with your vibes. Next question is, we're getting to the end, guys. Most surprising thing you learned about yourself recently?
LOL.
I guess it's not like one thing, but like I referenced either in this episode or the episode before it, because they're all recorded on the same day, guys. Is just like surprising myself. I get surprised by like people really close to me, but then it's like, yeah, so then the part that's surprising about myself is like, oh wow, I had such a like limited conception or expectation. So I guess like surprised by how limited my own schemas for intaking information can be and are, you know, in like continually realized ways. So per our last episode, if y'all can't think of anything that surprised you about yourself recently, you're not engaging with yourself enough.
Yeah, this is hard. Kevin?
Man, it has to do with like I maybe forgiveness and kindness are interconnected, but like that hasn't been the natural disposition of my personhood for the first 26 to 28 years of my life. And just something about You said what?
You know, I guess you're almost 30, as you keep referencing.
But I was studying. I pay attention to men in their 30s and their early 30s in terms of things that I don't see in myself. That I go, man, where is this coming from, and when is this going to happen for me? And when, like, in terms of like holistic development. And so the most surprising thing was like somewhere around this age, 29, 30, getting close to that age that I always wondered about with men getting into that age, like this greater level of like empathy and kindness and slow and patience and like ability to forgive and to let go and to like realize life is not as like, you know, gritting, like sinking your teeth into something and going, no, like I was wrong. They were wrong. Like realizing like, man, if I admit that I'm wrong, there's a greater capacity for kindness and forgiveness in me than I thought possible. So that's kind of like the most surprising thing, I think. Stumbled upon.
I guess I'll begrudgingly settle on this. I think what's surprising is how the skill of small talk and a casual conversation, how easily that skill gets rusty. And this might be tied into me hating everything that I say, but I definitely feel like that's something that I generally would be very good at. And I feel that that is very much not the case for a confluence of reasons. One might be the pandemic, but the other one just me. But that's surprising. It's a muscle. Knowing how to talk to people, but it's making small talk, making friends. It's a muscle that can get flabby relatively quickly.
You know what's so interesting about that is I have noticed in myself recently, I've been like, now that, you know, things are opening back up and more people are vaccinated, like I have been like sort of in those situations where I'm making new friends and like meeting people. And I've been like, oh wow, like I just feel supercharged. Like it's actually been ironically, even though I kind of hate everything I say too lately too, just the beginnings of like, oh, there's a new person, let's bump bum bum see, you know, like let's kind of bounce around. It's like, oh, I'm so charged up from like a year of isolation. I'm like ready to go.
It's amazing.
But,
Oh yeah. Well, trying to soak that in. Oh.
Vince is like, can't relate.
Can't relate, but I would love to relate. If you got to send a message to your younger self, what would it be and to what age would it go?
Ooh.
I just in therapy recently, so happy to go first. Oh, except I don't know what age. Let's say I want to do this young, but young enough where I can actually understand this. So let's say 10-year-old me. I would say to engage with the world around you and engage with it fully. Without pretense, without hesitation.
Not 10-year-old Vince was discreet and what's the word, like not bashful. I can't think of the word, but not 10-year-old Vince was discreet. Yo, you engaging with the world now. You all kinds of engaged.
No. Now, to give more context too, I definitely engaged with the world in particular ways, but to engage completely in a way that's messy, engaging in ways that I like could even say it now like I shouldn't be doing, but like just engaging indiscriminately.
Yeah, okay, yeah, I feel that.
Like maybe I kind of do now, but even then, there's room for more.
Yeah, I feel that. Leslie.
Oh.
I would tell my 5-year-old self that human sexuality is beautiful and delightful and literally part of what it means to be human. Like sexuality is not a separate, divorced, let alone ever bad thing. It's not bad. It is literally part of what it means to be human.
Period.
I would tell myself at 16 years old, it's going to get darker than you could ever imagine. And no one's fucking coming to save you. So if you don't learn how to love and to become light and to create light, like this whole pouty to yourself, introverted horse shit that you think is like cool and like what the fuck ever, like that too cool for school head ass shit, life is going to cave in on you and it's gonna become fucking like, not miserable is not the right word. It's going to become detrimental to your life. So like literally and metaphorically detrimental to your livelihood. So it's going to get dark, and you need to now start finding ways to cultivate light and love and forgiveness and kind of like, but like, yeah, I'd find myself at 16 and be like, listen, this whole too cool for school act, knock that shit the fuck off. Love people, invite love for people, because like all that should become love for people.
Mm.
Mm. Come through, become light, and create light.
What art are you going to make next?
Ooh, yes.
OnlyFans.
Which is a motherfucking art. So period. Would you guys consider? Would you guys consider porn art?
Dog, I got a pastor. What are you doing?
Oh, sorry. I'll say my answer is yes, but we'll stop it there. Sorry, I forgot that who was listening. We'll say that for another time.
I can either I can avoid a conversation. To be honest, I can't do both.
All right, fair. Sorry.
Right?
You listen to our whole.
This will be the one that he just decides to pop in on the road.
He listened to our whole deconstruction episode and then gave me his feedback. I was like, oh shit.
He'll be so curious to hear what he says. What he said about that. I'd be curious to hear the unfiltered, like, to you, another Christian, what he said about it. Not that I'm looking to judge, but I feel like that would be the most authentic response. And I'd be curious, like, authentically, like, how that was processed. I'm not looking to like change his mind or anything.
Literally, the main thing he said was, I didn't hear either of them say anything about having a problem with Jesus. It was with church and with Christians. And I was like, I think you're right. The idea in the person of Jesus, I was like, I didn't hear anything out their mouths about. And I was like, yeah, you're right. Which I think both of you said in that episode. Like, when you look at the life and the person of just like, yeah, the things seem pretty cool. It's just when you get to all the fuckery and the horseshit of the people, it's like, yeah. That was literally the gist. He was like, huh. And then he was like, I didn't necessarily hear pushback on this person. It was just these people. I was like, I think you're right. But anyway, yeah.
That would open up too long of a.
Oh yeah, I mean, I have many a thought, but that's actually pretty interesting to hear.
Yeah, it is interesting. But what art are you gonna make next, Kevin?
Yes, a poem. A relationship. A failed.
Relationship, please.
Yeah, listen. I want to, and Vince actually mentored me recently through not doing that, and he was right. And he's been mentoring me through that, and he's right.
I'm sorry.
You're right. Like it was literally, I didn't want to do it, and everything in my fiber said don't do it that way. And then I got to the other side of things, and I was like, if I didn't listen to Vince, I would be in a miserable situation right now. I'd be in a fucking miserable situation. What I'm gonna make next, poetry, nothing but poetry, until I am the most richest, disgustingly powerful person in the world because of poetry.
Try till die.
That was the most ominous framing of
it. And I'm going to forgive, and I'm not going to forget anyone who wronged me along the way.
So ominous. For me, I just don't fucking know. Like I said multiple times.
Aw, come on.
I need some space to figure out. I just don't like anything.
Let's do this. What's the last thing you created?
I was chewing on some thoughts because I made a little Substack to do some writing, which I put up the transcript from my video. So I had some thoughts around like writing around like what the fuck does common sense mean? Some thoughts I've been chewing on as it relates to queerness, like what the fuck does queer mean? Basically just things like concepts that I've never really given too much thought to. But I'm kind of frozen just because the thoughts that I feel like I'm synthesizing, I just hate it all.
So content for video essays.
I won't make videos out of them, but I do want to habitualize actually writing. So I would just put them up as writing.
Oh shit. Okay.
Just normal essays. But
fuck with it. Okay.
My next thing will probably be the piece of writing I'm working on now. which will be like, I guess you would call it. I mean, hopefully it'll end up being like a chapter in a larger work of like what is either a book or I don't think you would call it a collection of essays or a collection of short works. It would probably be like a book that doesn't have a standard narrative trajectory.
So a chapter or content within a children's book, or are you writing a different style?
No, the like what I was referencing with like wanting to create like a longer work that would be like just for adults. I mean, kids could read it, but yeah, not yeah.
Okay. Fiction.
Yeah, I suppose it'd be if you grouped in that category. Yep.
Okay. All right.
Mhm.
Let me find out. Put it on Instagram.
Well, I sent you the work that I'm kind of making it in conversation with.
I'll take
from
that
a
as a
couple
proof
years
for me
ago.
to put it on Instagram.
Well,
I'm fucking. Y'all, Leslie wanted me to
something to
share.
think
Yeah,
about
yeah.
though. Man, maybe I should start sharing my writing. I don't know. We'll see.
Substack.
Okay. We're almost to the end.
These are some heavy ass questions. What the fuck? What the fuck?
All right. Woo, our final one.
Final two?
Wait, I think we're down to one, right?
It's basically this. It's like a comma. So there's a comma.
True. All right, fair enough.
Who is it? Who's supposed to read it? Is it me?
I read the last one.
It can be you. I'm gonna go back through and make sure we didn't miss any other questions.
How do you define happiness? How do you define fulfillment? I feel like I don't have an urge to define happiness. Like it feels like one of those things like why pin a butterfly to a cork board? You know, like if you want to enjoy a butterfly's beauty, the best way is to see it in motion and see it enjoying a flower and then seeing it fly away. Like if you, and I'm actually saying this is a direct remaining guilt from something I actually did do when I was a kid. I think I've told Vincent. I don't know if I ever told you, Kevin, but like when I was a kid, not really understanding that I was killing them, I would catch butterflies and tape them to a piece of paper. And I had the paper on my wall. Like I didn't even pin them. Basically, yes, I just didn't understand. And, I saw something beautiful and I taped them to paper in rows. And in the same way that I'm like, oh, actually, that's obviously not the right way to enjoy butterfly. I just don't want to define happiness. And as far as fulfillment, that would just take a while. I don't know. I'd have to really think. I wouldn't feel comfortable.
Sorry if whoever gave this question, it's the last one. So the steam has ran its course.
This is where Kevin shines. I got you. Hold on. So there was this famous fashion designer who once said, the best outfit or the most fashionable outfit is one where you can put it on and forget what you're wearing. And it was such a profound statement because it was like, yeah, even if it's something looks good or fancy and you're always like it's like, man, the greatest outfit is when you put on and it's just so freeing and so liberal. Like you just forget, you just enjoy, you're able to be you. And so I think with happiness, like there's a poet, a spoken word artist who said, I think I'm ready to be here. Like it was on a concept of being present in the moment, like whatever that moment is in life. He said, I think I'm ready to be here now. And I think happiness is like that. I think happiness is any moment where you don't have to think about happiness. You're just here now. And you're not on the past. You're not on the future. You're just, it's like this flow. It's not even flow state, but it's like, it's just this ease of access of life, of stillness, of you're able to be there, then, here, now. I think that for me is happiness. When you're just uninhibited, you're just in that moment for that moment. Uninhibited, free, liberated.
That's beautiful.
So beautiful.
Yeah, me too.
Big.
Yeah, me too. I like that, like being pulled into the present. And I think like in addition, like present, like in the now, but like an active engagement with the now, not just like a erasure of thinking about yesterday or tomorrow, but being in the now and then wandering in the now. I feel like that's like being pulled in that direction is being happy. Like that's happiness pulling you towards that. Not that you being happy embodies that necessarily, but that's what that's like where gravity is pushing you towards, and that's happiness.
Yeah.
Fulfillment. Girl,
Yeah.
when I get fulfilled, I'll let you know. I'll define it. Until then, never heard of it. Fuck?
That's real shit. Hey. I don't think the three of us, any of us are fulfilled. Leslie actually might be. I don't know. Leslie might be.
No, I mean,
I find fulfillment doing these podcasts with y'all, which
Look at
means
Vince lying to us again. Jesus, he
which,
lying
again. I'm not saying I'm embodying fulfillment, far from it, but I guess I can't define fulfillment without. I'm actually defining like things that fulfill me, but not defining fulfillment itself. That's hard to
why
define.
does doing this podcast fulfill you?
I think anytime you're creating something, there's like a sense of fulfillment. And I think in the case of this, creating something like intimately with people you really care about is incredibly fulfilling. But again, I know that's not really defining fulfillment, but this is just like a vehicle. This pod is a vehicle for that.
I agree with that. And I'll add in one thing I could say again. Yeah, like one piece. I can't define the whole thing, but I do think fulfillment has something to do with the greater population. It's like, can you really ever be fulfilled if like everyone isn't at some level of like being okay? You know?
Leslie just shit all over Vince's podcast.
No, I didn't at all. I'm saying like that's like a piece.
Yes,
I
yes.
didn't mean that to sound so combative. I'm just saying like it's a piece. Like, you know, can any? I mean, I guess you can,
In
and I
part.
don't mean to sound overly like saintly. It's not like it's just, but I don't think I could feel ever like truly peace or happy if like, you know, like the greater of humanity wasn't at least moving toward. Like I could never be fulfilled only pursuing things just for me.
I mean, yes, totally. And this will not be a short conversation. So I'll just say yes, totally, and leave it at that. But yes, and I have thoughts, i.e., my current conception of spirituality, maybe season 3.
Not these cliffhangers.
It's just it's a that'd be a long conversation.
Apologies that we never hit some of the topics we said we were going to hit in season 2, specifically like we said we were going to talk about gender. That was actually explicitly me, I think, who kind of put the brakes on, because I just felt unprepared to do what I felt would be justice from my piece of it. I didn't just want to sit here and be silent, you know, while we're discussing it. So maybe season 3, we'll see. Kevin.
What?
Well, oh, I guess I mean, me and Vincent gave one little piece of like maybe what's part of fulfillment. You said happiness.
Engagement. So happiness is when you're able to be here now. Fulfillment for me is when you're engaged with something meaningful. It's I don't think
defined differently per person.
Yeah, I don't think and to clarify, I don't ever look at I don't like the term fulfillment with a T at the end, because it's weird to like
fulfillment. That's what
so no, but I think like I think you can step into a moment of feeling fulfilled, and then when it's past, it's like you're not. So yeah, I think yeah, it's subjective to every person. But when any person feel like what Vince was saying with this podcast, and then you ask why, and it's because like it's something me. I think for specific relative to each person, when they're engaged in the moment with something meaningful to them, that is a sensation of being fulfilled.
Maybe like loving and being loved.
Yeah, but eventually
being able to love and being able to be loved probably is a bit.
I guess that explains why Vince don't feel fulfilled in what.
We all said we didn't feel fulfilled.
Wow. I love and feel loved. But not that one special love.
On that note.
He said,
Yeah, that
we said we were gonna do like a 25,
wrap it up.
and y'all two walked in here with 10 of the dents.
I said we should
literally-
blow through them.
literally
Vincent's the one who's like, oh, let's just see.
Literally, each of these questions could have been a bottomless episode in and of itself. Like these were such dense questions. Why did we let these people write questions?
It is our audience, which is actually an honor that our audience is so engaged that they're asking such engaging
Yeah.
questions.
Now I want to go back and watch the first AMA because I feel like it wasn't this meaty.
That's
From
because
what I
we were the
remember.
ones that came up with the questions for our first
We
AMA,
asked
'cause
ourselves
nobody
anything.
asked
Thank you all for these questions. They're definitely very stimulating.
us. Yeah,
For sure.
definitely.
Well, thank you for listening to the
To
Bottomless
Bottomless
Podcast.
Podcast.
You can
You
find us on all major platforms, Instagram.
and Spotify.
This reminds me of
BTTMLESS.
story time.
Wait. We'll sing it again. Don't worry.
There was a time at Leslie's house when we were all
Wait, hold your mic, Kevin.
there was a time at Leslie's house when we were all like 16 years old, and I think Leslie thought she knew what singing was, and so Vince started to sing, and Vince said harmonize, and Leslie said okay, so Vince hit a tone, and Leslie didn't know what the harmony tone was supposed to be, and she hit a tone, and Vince went and looked at her and was like no, never mind.
There were so many moments like that when we were all 16, to be honest. But see, there's a beauty in dissonance.
I can
no.
I can picture that so vividly.
Same, like
Both me going and both Leslie getting into sing and just coming from
Leslie was feeling it until you said like
I'm sure she
she
was.
knew she hit that note.
Leslie said, "This is my moment," and then I came crashing down.
I'm ready for my close up.
Well.
Oh my gosh.
All right. Well,
All right. Thank you guys for listening. Bye.
guys.